Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty, and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. We are here in the Charlotte Garden for the Wrestling Classic 2021. Completely got off track on what fucking year it was for a second there, but we are here for another exciting edition of professional wrestling from the Charlotte Garden in our main event of the evening. Actually, before I explain our main event of the evening, I want to show you guys something I came up with mid-episodes. Here you go. I came up with a spreadsheet, as I am wont to do, of the results of everyone in the company across the territories. This includes matches. This only includes matches within one of the territories. So this is Coastal Zone Championship Wrestling, New York City Wrestling, Freedom Caribbean Wrestling, 4C in Canada, Oli in Mexico, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and, although it is not applicable to these individuals, Queens of American Wrestling. So those are the promotions that I included in this list, and I came up with the results. And I used the same point system that we used for the Sam Keith Classic, so I gave them 2 points for a win and 1 point for a draw. Of course, you could just use the wins and say, look how many wins they got. It doesn't. The exact points don't really matter, but I wanted to show you guys this to kind of get an idea as to how successful these people were. Generally, the main eventers and general contenders across the territories. Within the territories last year. As you can see, Island by Apollo unsurprisingly did quite well because he had a mixed year in MAW, but had pretty much the World Tag Team Championships for the entire year, so he was winning all over the place. Probably the same could be said for Kid San Juan, but I didn't track him. El Mitico Jr. had a fantastic year in Oli, while also picking up some big victories here in MAW. George Wolf was the world champion, still is the world champion to my knowledge. Scythe was the MAW champion all year. He also picked up some big victories in New York City Wrestling. Logan Wolfsbane obviously won the title in the summer and was undefeated that year. He was the only person. No, him and George Wolf were the only two people to be undefeated last year across the territories, which was obviously good years for the Team Progress members there. There's not too much to be read into this table other than for the first couple months of the year, we're going to be using this to determine kind of who should fight who. Like, these people are generally going to be in matches with each other in order to determine who kind of is at the top of the territory. And more importantly than anything, El Mitico Jr. is currently is the top ranked, not injured, not on hiatus member of the roster right now. And by a large margin too. A fantastic year for El Mitico Jr. And therefore he has been granted a championship match tonight against Logan Wolfsbane. So, that is our main event of the evening. We also have the Coastal Zone Tag Team match between the Ring Generals and the Dynamite Express. And we're starting off the show tonight with an all-star tag team match. Team Progress members Robin DeLay and George Wolf are going to take on American Elemental and Ernest Youngman. That'll be our opening match of the evening. We are in the Charlotte Garden. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we do, actually, there is some further ado. I just wanted to get this figure on camera so I can refer to it in future, basically. So, let's get rolling as El Mitico Jr. gets on the mic in the interview area next to Sweet Tabitha and says, Logan Wolfsbane, I respect you. You are a physical, natural freak of nature. And I get that, but you gotta look at me, Logan, and recognize that I'm also a freak of nature. You know, people look at me and sometimes they call me a machine because I can go all night. I've wrestled 60-minute draws for fun. I'm in the gym week in and week out, honing my stamina and making sure that I will fight until the end. And you know what? What's more, Logan, is that you may be born a wrestler, but I was born a guerrero, a fighter, a warrior, and there's nothing that you've got in terms of family legacy or in terms of history that I don't have in spades too. So I work just as hard. I fight just as hard. And tonight, I'm going to get my hands on one of the most prestigious championships in the territories today. You can bank on that. El Mitico Jr. hyped up and ready. Let's start off with this all-star tag team match, which gets to 73. B-. Great wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd. American Elemental and Ernest Youngman defeat Robin DeLay and George Wolf in 22 minutes and 30 seconds. Ernest Youngman defeats Robin DeLay by submission, with the cross-face chicken wing. Good stuff from everyone involved as George Wolf tries to use his size advantage Similar with, Robin DeLay and George Wolf, they both try and isolate American Elemental in that corner, try and wear him down with their brutish physicality, their malicious aggression as they just stomp and kick and punch their way through the colorful, charismatic American Elemental, try and work him down in that corner, trying to use their natural size and power to just hurt and maim the colorful Japanese junior American Elemental, and they do it in the corner, and they isolate him, and they try to employ some great tag team tactics, but they're not the Ring Generals, they're not the Dynamite Express, they're not the most well-oiled tag team in the territories today, and they leave some cracks, they leave some weaknesses, and one thing can be damn sure said of American Elemental is if you leave him a weakness, he is going to dash through that weakness. If you leave him an opening, he's going to dash through that opening with the pace and the power that can be expected with one of the most exciting, fluid, technical high flyers in the business today. And he does exploit those weaknesses, and he manages to get the upper hand over Robin and George, and eventually we get that big hot tag for the Wrestling Machine, the best there's ever been, the assassin of the squared circle, Ernest Youngman, with a wink and a wave. He locks in every submission move under the sun. And young Robin DeLay, even despite his physical prowess, he lacks the experience to stop Ernest Youngman at the peak of his powers. And trust me, lads, this was Ernest Youngman at the peak of his powers, going from hold to hold with nary a hesitation, nary a mistake made. And indeed, Ernest Youngman is able to lock in the most feared submission hold in the territories today, the crossface chicken wing that has won him a world championship before. And Robin DeLay taps out, and Ernest Youngman and American Elemental pick up a big victory opposite the world's heavyweight champion. We kick off our Coastal Zone tag team match with Sid Collier picking up a familiar victory over Dean Waldorf. I think it's been about 2 years or 3 years since we ran this angle, so the fans have probably forgotten, so we're just going to run the table of chairs angle again, where Sid just knocks Dean Waldorf out with a bunch of chairs while the ref isn't looking, and then locks him in the old Texas Cloverleaf. And the ref obviously didn't see the knockout from chairs and just sees Dean Waldorf sitting there in a submission hold knocked out and calls for the bell. Good stuff from these guys, repriving their rivalry. As we move into a significantly worse match, the second leg of this Coastal Zone tag team match. These two are not particularly well suited chemistry-wise, and Cameron Jones is also not well suited to his gimmick. We're going to try and sort that out in between episodes. I should have done it before this episode, but I'm going to be looking back through this episode to check out that figure I talked to you guys about earlier, so it'll be fine. What was that? I have no idea. Anyway, yes, so Mark Stadler defeats Cameron Jones with a backdrop breaker. These two have had a match before. These two just, they enjoy each other's pace. Mark Stadler is used to these fast-paced throws, these high-octane, wonderful technical moves, amateur wrestling throws, and Cameron Jones likes to get his momentum going, and these two are very well suited, and Marv Stadler is a good counter to old Cammy Jones. As we move into the final leg of this Coastal Zone tag team match, and in 56, C- the Ring Generals defeat the Dynamite Express in 12 minutes and 53 seconds when Marv defeats Sid with a wheelbarrow bomb. Cameron Jones wasn't particularly good in this match, probably due to his gimmick. I would presume so anyway. Yes, the Ring Generals, of course, working down the Dynamite Express, using their excellent technical prowess to pick up the victory here. Very specifically, a good night for Marv Stadler, who defeated both Cameron Jones and got the pinfall in this tag team match. But perhaps Marv Stadler's career as a singles guy is going to be up from here in MAW. But perhaps more importantly, the Ring Generals pick up a massive victory over one of the best tag teams in the territories today. And of course, the Ring Generals could be well on their way to another shot at the MAW Tag Team Championships. Dewey Archer defeats the incumbent? I don't think that's the right word. The newcomer, Davis Wayne Newton, who of course re-debuted last December. And they have a really good match. Davis Wayne Newton takes it to Dewey Archer with his fast and fluid technical wrestling, mixed in with some high-flying maneuvers to create some openings. But Dewey Archer is just too clever and too smart to get caught up by all this, and just ends up working his own charismatic technical style. But Davis Wayne Newton gives a great account of himself, going hold for hold with the architect himself, Dewey Archer, showing that he's just as good of a technical wrestler as Dewey Archer. But Dewey Archer, he's got that winning mentality. He's willing to go that extra mile to make sure he picks up the victory. And although Davis Wayne Newton takes it to the Architect with all he's got, Dewey Archer ends up using, I don't know, the bottom rope or something to gain the advantage and pick up the win with a Proton Lock. And Scythe defeats the Cowboy Brad Blaze in 10 minutes and 30 seconds by pinfall and Underworld Spike. More aggression from Scythe. We've been seeing him on an absolute rampage since his return late last year from a brief hiatus. He destroyed his manager, Vinny Cruz, when he returned at the where it all begins again. And this time he destroys Cowboy Brad Blaze, a mixture of kicks, punches, and brutality as the monster, the demon, the Crimson Death Scythe comes in and uses his aggression and his power and his brutality, his willingness to just inflict pain, more than willingness, his desire, his pleasure in inflicting pain to absolutely rip apart Cowboy Brad Blaze and pick up the victory with that Underworld Spike. Impressive showing here from the former Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Champion. Logan Wolfsbane is in the Utica area and he says, "You want to call yourself a warrior? You want to call yourself a guerrero? I don't even understand what that word means. I know speak Mexican. But you know what I do speak? I speak English. And you know why? Actually, he's German, but whatever. I speak English. I mean, he's obviously American-German. He speaks English too. But like that underlying racism is probably not something to come from Logan Wolfsbane, but fuck it. Yeah, you know why? Because I was born in the greatest country on earth, and I was born in the greatest business on earth, and I am a born wrestler and a born champion. And you know what? You've had tons and tons of opportunities at this championship against me, against Scythe, against so many people, and you've failed on every single occasion. And, you know, I think you're a great wrestler. I don't want to put you down. But it is very clear and very obvious to me that you are not championship material. I won the title in my very first opportunity. I'm the youngest MAW champion in history. And you know why? It's because people are born champions. Me, the rest of Team Progress, we're just genetically superior. We were born in this business and we had everything we needed from day one. We could have won titles without even working hard, but you know what? We do work hard. We're the first in the gym. We're the last to leave. We're better than everybody else in that locker room. We're better than everybody else in that crowd because we have bodies like Adonis's. We got more gold than Tijuana. We got more talent in our pinky fingers than the rest of this roster has in their entire body. And tonight we're going to prove it. Tonight I'm going to prove it. Because at the end of the night you will get the words that no challenger wants to hear, but you better get used to them. Because I am in charge now, and those words are, and still, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Champion, Logan fucking Wolfsbane. Logan Wolfsbane, happy. Not happy. Well, I mean, probably a little happy, but excited and ready for a big match tonight against El Mitico Jr., the Living Legacy. And then in 81B, a fantastic match. Superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Logan Wolfsbane continues to impress with a victory over El Mitico Jr. by submission with a Boston Crab. Logan Wolfsbane makes defense number 4 of his Mid-Atlantic Championship title. And still the champion. Good stuff from these guys as they probably put on a wonderful technical and fluid matchup. You know, El Mitico Jr. known for his quick-paced technical wrestling, probably going from hold to hold, trying to work down Logan's leg, trying to slow down the big man, trying to stop him from getting a bit of a physical momentum going. And indeed, Logan Wolfsbane probably more than willing to go with those basic technical maneuvers, because even though he's a brawler at heart, he's a big lad. He's a beautiful chain wrestler. He's a wonderful chain wrestler. Got a lot of his family have done a lot of shoot fighting, and so he knows his chain wrestling. And he matches El Mitico Jr. every step of the way, but he's just a little bit stronger. He's able to break out of those holds that someone like Ernest Young would have to slip out of. He's able to break out of them. He's able to viciously and brutally wrench back on El Mitico Jr.'s neck in a chokehold where someone like Dewey Archer wouldn't be able to put in that extra bit of strength. And Logan Wolfsbane is just physically monstrous as he just rips into El Mitico Jr. and in the end, he works on that lower back. He works on that left leg and he really inflicts that nasty, lasting, breaking pain on that lower back that just haunts you every time you wake up in the middle of the night with an ache in your back. And that's what he inflicts. That's what he puts on El Mitico Jr. And he finishes it off with the same maneuver that broke the leg of Froschur and is going to keep him out for at least 3 months. 2 months ago. So he's almost back physically. But he's got a lot of physio to do. And indeed, it doesn't break the leg of El Mitico Jr. because Logan Wolfsbane, he's still young. He's still inexperienced. He's learnt from that experience of breaking Fro's leg. And although, he won the match, he kept the title. He doesn't want to see that happen. He probably got a right bollocking in the back when he broke Fro's leg. I know this is a fight, and you got to win whatever way you want to. But it's definitely, we're a glitzy business. We don't want our top fighters getting injured for 3 months, like Fro did. So Logan knows, no, I'm going to be a bit safer. And even again, Logan isn't very vindictive. He's not in this to hurt people like Scythe. He just wants to win. He doesn't want to break El Mitico Jr.'s leg. And so he locks it in deeper. He puts more pressure on the lower back than on the leg. And El Mitico Jr. taps out. And Logan Wolfsbane has made defense number 4 of his Mid-Atlantic Championship title, which means he has made a lot of defenses. I know he's been champion for a little while, but compared to Scythe's reign, he's already made as many defenses, so it's definitely a very impressive title reign from the youngster. Very good stuff indeed from Logan Wolfsbane. I hope you guys enjoyed today. I was very surprised by that match result. Logan Wolfsbane continues to super impress me. He is really over impressing. Indeed, his stats are not as good as I would as those match grades would let on. He's got like 45 psych or something. So either a really good Destiny roll, or his star quality, or his charisma, or other things, he's doing really well. And I love it, because it means that I can't just look at stats for people and say, ooh, this guy needs to be in the main event, when Logan's coming out there and just giving amazing performances. I've just got to go on that. Logan gives great performances. He's getting the push, and he is definitely living up to every single moment of his hype. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're feeling especially generous, there is a link to my Patreon in the description. If you want to hear me ramble, then there is a link to my Twitter in the description. One thing I brought up on Twitter recently that I've been thinking about since was that the average age of the roster at the start of this year was, let me find the exact tweet so I can give you a proper number. The average age of the roster at the start of the year was 29.12 years old, which is fine. I'm pretty happy with that. But I would like to keep it under 30. And obviously, if the roster stays exactly as it is right now, in 1 year it will be over 40 for obvious reasons, right? Over 30 for obvious reasons, right? So I'm gonna have a think about. I have an idea for who I want to cull. I think there should be only one big act that I need to get rid of for it to stay under 30, and I think it is time for that act to move on. So I'm going to try and do a lot with them this year, and I'm not going to spoil who it is. You probably know who it is. You probably have an idea anyway. But I've loved them. They've had an absolutely great influence on the series. But they do need one more big tour de force. And I think tonight is going to be this year is going to be that for them. So I'm hoping to push more people in general. Once we turn regional, we're going to have to start using every single one of our... Well, we're going to have to try and use every single one of our workers on every show, because we pay downsides. So like now, if I left 5 people off the show, that's money saved. Whereas when we're at regional, if I leave 5 people off the show, we're still paying them. So it's like, well, after I've renegotiated with them, obviously not as soon as we hit regional. But yeah, I'm going to try and get into the mindset of using every talent on every show. And also, it's cool. We have a lot of cool talent. I don't think there's a single person on the roster that I don't like. So, going to keep working hard for money. I hope you guys, well, kind of for money. I hope you guys, anyway, if you wanted to be working hard for money, check out a link to my Patreon in the description. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed. And I hope you guys will join me next time for what I think is Super Showdown. I don't really know what we're going to have on that show. I know, we'll main event with the Tag Team Championships. The Ring Generals taking on Devil May Care for the tag team championships once more into the breach, my friends. And we'll make it a stipulation match. We'll make it Tornado. Yeah, we'll make it Tornado tag. Sorry, I don't want to do anything bearing because I've got plans for stipulations later in the year. But we'll make it Tornado tag. Ring Generals versus Devil May Care. Tornado tag for the tag titles. Join us then. And a lot of singles matches as people work their way up the card. Peace out, guys.